Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Timothée Chalamet's fantastic film, A Complete Unknown. I love this movie. Now, this is a 5 out of 5 star movie, but this movie is about the life of Bob Dylan. Now, I absolutely love this movie. I think it's a fantastic movie, and I think every dungeon master should see this movie. I think it's rated R, so you got to wait until you're 18. But wait until you're a dungeon master and you're 18, then see it. But this is every dungeon master now content. What really blew me away, though, is I think that Bob Dylan is a terrible singer who wrote music in one of the absolute worst genres of music that exists, which is folk music. So I don't like Bob Dylan's voice. I think I don't think he should have ever sung a single song. I think he's absolutely abominable singer. So he should have wrote his music and then given it to people who could actually sing, like Joan Baez and other good folk music singers, right? So I think he should have written his music. He should have never sung it. He's a garbage singer, like just absolute garbage singer. And I don't even think that's debatable. He just got a weak, nasally voice. He's a terrible singer. I don't even think that's debatable, in my humble opinion. All right, okay. So, and then I think folk music is absolutely abominable. But this movie was fantastic, and so basically, the movie explains that Bob Dylan was really helped early in his career by Pete Seeger. Okay, now Pete Seeger was a full all in. DC has this great series going out right now called All In. It's their like motto for their season, right? And they're like all in, right? And Pete Seeger was all in on folk music, and he's like, if you have a good song, you could just, you get a guitar, you sing it, and that's all you need, right? And if you add in all these bells and whistles, literally bells and whistles. If you add in electric guitar, you're making it worse, right? So he was a purist, right? Now, why are we talking about this movie in context of D&D? Pete Seeger was OSR. He was like, oh, you should only run BX. You should only run Beck Me. You should only run first edition. You could only run second edition, and all the new stuff sucks, right? And Pete Seeger was in on this, right? So basically, Bob Dylan started in folk music and was like, okay, right, but music is advancing, so I'm going to get an electric guitar, I'm going to sing blues, I'm going to sing rock and roll, I'm going to sing, a whole bunch of stuff, right? I'm going to sing what I want, what's in my heart, right? And Pete Seeger's, no, you just gotta play folk music. You can't advance past first and second edition, right? You gotta play the oldies, right? And Pete Seeger was super late, right? And Bob Dylan was super awesome, right? In this film. And so basically, Pete Seeger is all the guys who are yelling, "Oh, just Beck Me and BX and first and second edition. That's all. Zero edition. That's all that matters, right?" And I'm Bob Dylan. I'm like, nah, y'all suck, right? Like, if we're gonna play D&D, let's play D&D, right? We're Gary Gygax is honored when we play D&D now. He ain't honored by that old Newport folk music festival nonsense, right? And so at the end of the movie, Bob Dylan is super popular, right, and gets invited to Pete Seeger's folk music festival, right, in Newport, right, which is in Rhode Island, right. And so he immediately brings out an electric guitar and starts singing everything but folk. And everybody gets pissed off, and they literally start throwing bottles, right? And the crowd is extremely angry, right? Just like today, right? Right? You think I'm wrong? Go look at the New York Times. What's happening in the New York Times right now? The New York Times has an article in it right now, right? That says a certain part of the Dungeons and Dragons community is upset that Dungeons and Dragons is trying to fix identity in Dungeons and Dragons, right? By replacing the word race with species. And there's a bunch of old grognards who are saying, oh no, play the hits, man. It was race in edition 1 and 2, and we're not going to change it. And all this newfangled electric guitar, we can't have it. I don't like orcs that don't look like orcs to me. You can't play the electric guitar. You can't play 5th edition. You can't play VE. Right? You got to play the old hits. Nothing can change. This movie is a perfect example of me versus every old OSR grognard you ever heard, right? I'm Bob Dylan, and those sad sacks are Pete Seeger. Just squawking. And get this, why does Pete Seeger not like the new stuff, right? There's a part in the movie where Bob Dylan's like, Pete, I sent you my last album. Did you even listen to it? And he's like, well, I know what I like, you know? And Pete Seeger wouldn't even listen to his new stuff. I know the direction you're going in. And this is exactly, the movie perfectly illustrates why the OSR grognards suck so hard. They suck because they're complaining about things they literally haven't even experienced. They are the worst. So every OSR grognard who's pointing you at playing, 1E and 2E and old grognard clone games, they suck. They suck. Just like Pete Seeger sucked in this movie, right? Bob Dylan's the cool guy. He's the guy that rides off at the end of the movie with a super cool motorcycle wearing his sunglasses. Pete Seeger is cleaning up chairs at a lame Newport festival, right? That's my point. What do you want to do, right? Do you want to play Dungeons & Dragons VE and ride off with the sunglasses at the end of the movie on a Triumph motorcycle? Or do you want to be Pete Seeger watching the cool guy ride away while you fold chairs in Newport, Rhode Island? You get a choice. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.